This is part 2. Make sure you've seen part 1. See the link below. At the end of the last video, we were digging backwards in time to get an idea of this guy's behavior and his character.
Because it tells immigrants that we aren't racist. That we will not support the violence that you face. That this is a safe haven for you.
So let's go to February 21st, 2017. Andy No made this tweet right here. Portland State student journalist Mike Bivens was threatened with violence for filming rioters during post-election protests.
So don't fucking do that
trauma.
Shit. Don't do
so
that
you're causing
shit.
trauma to somebody's life.
I don't give a fuck if that's your job. You know? I don't give a fuck if that's your job. If it's your job where someone's spending 5 years in prison, you know which one I'm gonna pick? Do you know which one I'm gonna pick?
What are you gonna do? Why are you still talking to me?
Why am I still? Because you fucking Why am I still telling you? Because it's your fucking fault someone's facing a felony fucking charge. It's your fucking fault. So you know what's gonna happen next time you do that? I will break your fucking camera, and I have no qualms doing that. Because felonies are a big fucking deal.
Insured.
Felonies are a big fucking deal. Don't pull that shit again.
In case it's not clear to you folks, again, what seems to be going on there is that Mike Bivens filmed someone assaulting someone else. And then this guy, Sean, comes up to him and says, because you filmed my friend attacking someone, he's facing federal charges. And so therefore, you better cut that shit out or I'll smash your camera. So there you go. It's a little window into this guy's intellect, or lack thereof. Now, you notice underneath Andy No's tweet, there is this by Portland State Vanguard. Sean Keeler, aka Armenia Lewis, threatened PSU student journalist Mike Bivens, that's the guy who filmed that last video, with violence in public Facebook post. That's kind of a typo. And this is allegedly a screenshot. This is the same account that Tabby and I encountered a while ago. I put him on our radar. Anyway, it says, hey folks, this man Mike Bivens, Twitter and Facebook link below, is completely okay with this coverage being used as evidence and doesn't feel bad about it at all. This is set to public, but be sure to save the image as well. And then it says, hi, I'm Mike Bivens. I'm okay with my photos being used by the state to convict people of felonies. If you see me, break my camera. There you go. And just so you know, Mike Bivens does not say on the side of the Patriots or Patriot Prayer or anything like that. He's very critical of them. He's kind of regressive left, just not as far left as Antifa. So to them, he's a Nazi. We have this tweet from the same day by Josh Kula, and we don't. It is gone. The tweet is gone. Well, I could tell you what the tweet did say. It said, he's on the far right and got in my face along with a few others. Not cool. And by far right, they don't mean political affiliation. They're saying Sean is on the far right of this photo right here. All right. And you can see that his comrades are burning that flag. I wonder if his mom is going after people. She might actually strike her channel then. Especially after we show the world that she is Antifa.
Yeah, and the reason her son is dead.
Yeah, she should really reflect about that.
You radicalize your own goddamn child, and that leads to their fucking being killed?
Kind of reminds me of what some people do in Palestine.
Yeah, that's what they do.
They radicalize their kids and get them killed.
Radicalize your own fucking child? Don't cry. Don't fucking cry to me. I don't want to goddamn hear it. You did that. You fucking made that a reality.
Yep. And we'll discuss a little bit later something that Tabby and I recorded earlier about, well, you folks may remember, I have an old video from 2017 where Tabby and I were walking somewhere and we ran into a young man and his father. The young man had an iron arrows patch, and so I started asking, do you realize what that is? And talking to the father. Well, here's what we recorded earlier about it. Tabby, I have something interesting to tell you. I'm sitting here working on this video about Keeler, aka Armenia Lewis. I just suddenly in my brain flashed an image of him shirtless and flexing in front of the mirror.
What the hell did you just say?
Suddenly in my brain flashed an image of him shirtless and flexing in front of the mirror.
You're gay.
And I said, wait a minute, I think Tabby found this guy out back in 2017-ish. You did. Look, this is all your stuff that you found in the spring of 2017. Remember when they were messing with you?
Oh, yeah.
And then when they mess with you, you would just go, okay, well, that's it. I'm going to fucking, get your information. Well, look who it is.
Not surprised.
It was under Armenia Lewis, his AKA. Not his real name, but what people knew him as.
Yeah.
Anyway, not the most fascinating thing in the world. I just think it's interesting that he was on your radar some years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. That would suggest to me that the reason why you even looked into him is because he was somehow...
He was a rabid little shit in the groups.
He was doxing us, or
No.
threatening us, or just being...
He was being a rabid little shit. He's like, well, you made yourself known, so my turn. It's like, I'm not surprised as to which names pop up anymore. I've got, over 1,000 of them, so...
Right.
It's just a matter of time before they make their way into the fucking news.
Mm-hmm.
Since they can't behave themselves like normal human beings.
Yeah, when I try to go to his page here, it says, or that post specifically, it says this page isn't available, but his entire profile isn't there.
Yeah, it's probably got cleaned off a while back.
Again, maybe because of you.
It's possible.
Yeah, so it's interesting then that this would have been the spring of 2017, and this person would have been either harassing you or threatening you or trying to dox you or something like that. Otherwise, he would not have been on your radar.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Still, it's a shame. It's a real shame.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a good thing.
Nope.
Well, we do update these, Tabby, as you know. I'm just letting the audience know. But I might as well add 2 bits of information that his real name is shit, now I forgot. Oh, Sean Keeler, and that he is now deceased, which is sad. I'm not happy about that, but
that's what it is.
I don't know. Maybe his death can actually be a deterrent for other people.
One will hope.
That maybe by him dying, other people will say, you know what, this Antifa thing's too dangerous. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to hurt other people.
Maybe a few parents fucking step up and actually get their kids out of the gang.
Yeah.
Be responsible parents.
Yeah.
Oh, but I don't want to infringe on my kids' right to protest. There's protesting and there's gang activity.
Well, shit, man, now I'm reminded of that one, what was it, a father and son in Eugene. We were walking somewhere, and I noticed he had an iron arrow symbol, and, I basically tried to let the kid know, hey, listen, this group is not an anti-racist, anti-fascist group. They're just saying that, and saying it in front of his father, because we were hoping that his father would... hear what we're saying and be like, well, shit, I don't know what that symbol is on my son's thing, but now that I am hearing these people talk about, and I better look into this and talk sense to my kid. But I don't think that's his attitude was like that. I think his attitude was kind of like
to let his kid fucking walk down a path of possible prison time.
Right. If I remember correctly, he was basically telling me to leave his kid alone, while I was basically trying to tell both him and his kid. And by kid, I mean teenager, folks, But anyway, perhaps the death of this guy, which I am not happy about, perhaps somehow that could be a good thing in a sense of steering more than one person away from. Yeah. So there you go, folks. Let's move on from here. Let's look at this tweet from this past summer, August 1st, 2019. This is from Laughing at Liberals. If you remember, it's Mike Strickland, the same guy who filmed the video of Sean threatening video journalists and threatening to dox Trump supporters and whatnot. You remember that from the first video, right? Now, let's read this one. Sean Keeler is also a black belt in Taekwondo. Having this knowledge weighs into someone's mind should they have to act in defense of themselves or another whom Keeler here is threatening. You see, to me, that's pretty obvious. He's making that statement in hopes that Sean would read that. And that was, of course, when Sean was still alive. So that would suggest to me that this guy felt like there's maybe a need to give Sean Keeler here a fair warning. Wonder why he had to give Sean a fair warning. Let's go back. Now, folks, I just want you to know that I do have these news reports right here. I'm not going to read aloud from them because for us, it would be redundant, but I want to provide you all the sources that I can. So, see the link below if you want to read these, alrighty? We have this by Willamette Week. A patron was hit and killed by an SUV last night near Cider Riot, in which they reported, quote, the racial justice advocacy group Don't Shoot Portland says it is building a memorial to him on Northeast 9th Avenue and Davis Street, unquote. Willamette Week also reports that a few minutes after the incident, quote, police say an injured person was dropped off at a nearby hospital. Police did not say whether that person was the driver or the person hit by the SUV, but a source familiar with the events tells Willamette Week they believe it was the latter. Multiple sources tell Willamette Week that the SUV hit a leftist activist who was a regular patron of Cider Riot. He is believed dead, unquote. And, quote, Willamette Week also learned that 2 people have been taken into custody in relation to the case, but neither are believed to be the driver. Police have not released any information on arrests. Juan Chavez, the attorney for Cider Riot owner Abram Goldman Armstrong, says Goldman Armstrong knew the victim. Quote, he doesn't know if this was a targeted attack, unquote, Chavez says. Quote, he would like to extend his condolences to the family and express his sadness at the loss of the victim. He knew him. He was a patron of the cidery, unquote. Chavez says Goldman Armstrong left Cider Riot shortly after 11 p.m., so that would be about an hour and a quarter before the incident, and does not recall seeing the victim in the cidery last night. Cider Riot was hosting a soul music show, unquote. Now, the article concludes with this right here, and there's a reason why I'm going to read this. We'll get into it. Cider Riot was previously a site of a violent attack by far-left extremists, which is a lie. On May 1st, Joey Gibson, the leader of Patriot Prayer, actually he is entirely Patriot Prayer, he is all the members, among others, faces felony riot charge over the violence that day. Gibson also faces a $1 million suit in Multnomah County Court filed by Goldman Armstrong, the owner of Cider Riot, over Gibson's alleged effort to incite violence there. There is no evidence to suggest that Gibson or his associates were involved in last night's crash. Now, we could give them the benefit of the doubt and just be like, okay, well, this is why it's interesting that it happened at this place because other things happened at this place. Or it may just be, and remember, this is coming from Willamette Week, okay? We've gone over a lot of articles by them. First of all, they're lying about Patriot Prayer, calling them far-right extremists, okay? I think that they're probably including into here just to make people go, oh, I bet it was those Nazis.
Of course they are.
Right? And it's not the only article that did that. Now, folks, we did skip over those articles just a few moments ago, but let's go back to some of them so we can read, for example, this one right here. This is by the Oregonian/Oregon Live. Down here, pretty much the same thing. Cider Riot, the establishment killer here has been leaving early Saturday, is the center of 2 high-profile legal cases stemming from a May Day brawl between left-wing patrons and members of a right-wing group, at least they're not far-right extremists this time, group who authorities say came to provoke them into a confrontation. A chaotic scene erupted during the May 1st brawl with shouting, swearing, brawling, drink throwing, rock throwing, and people using pepper spray or mace on others. Patriot Prayer leader Joey Gibson and 5 other affiliates were eventually arrested in connection with the brawl. None of the pub's patrons have been arrested or charged in the incident. And it's just what we've come to expect from Portland.
Yeah, they act like that's some sort of getting out of guilt-free card. It's like, no, it just shows how corrupt Portland is.
Patriot Prayer, Antifa Clash, lands Cider Riot in state regulators' crosshairs, this is ultimately why the guy is trying to sell the business, and maybe ultimately why Keeler here died. The owner of Cider Riot knowingly allowed his patrons to use illegal weapons against right-wing agitators during a May Day brawl and refused to remove unruly customers from his property. An investigation by the Oregon Liquor Control Commission alleges. Cider Riot owner Abram Goldman Armstrong filed a lawsuit against Joey Gibson and Associates seeking $1 million of damages. Cidery is up for sale, according to a listing on probrewery.com. We'll get into that. Now listen to this. Goldman Armstrong previously told the Oregonian/Oregon Live that the clash outside Cider Riot and the months of headlines it's generated had nothing to do with the decision to sell.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Now, look at this article by the Oregon Public Broadcasting. So this article again mentions the whole thing with the Cider Riot and Patriot Prayer and etc. and violence and white supremacists, whatever. Let me just reiterate. Notice that these articles and many others are mentioning the whole Patriot Prayer thing and far right and all that kind of stuff because it's supposed to be guilt by association. They're not actually blaming them, so they can't get sued, but they're putting it in there anyway. Yes, they're certainly hinting at it. They're suggesting it. Now, moving on to a related but different topic. Gregory McKelvey. Remember that guy, folks?
What up, y'all? Screaming McKelvey. Mix the bomb in the drink. You don't gotta ask. You don't gotta ask. We don't hesitate. Mix the bomb in the drink.
We'll be doing a very in-depth thing about him and his girlfriend, Kat. By the way, early in part 1, we saw Keeler standing right next to Kat McKelvey. That would be the mother of Gregory McKelvey's children. Anyway, back to the article. Gregory McKelvey, a prominent Portland protester and campaign director for mayoral candidate Sarah Iannarone, I guess, remembered Keeler as a young anarchist prepared to demonstrate for any cause that needed a hand. Ready for this? Quote, every single protest, he's going to be there, unquote, McKelvey said. Quote, he didn't care what your ideology was.
You sure about that?
Are you sure, buddy? If
you might want to... You sure you don't want to take a second? Gather your thoughts.
Maybe think.
And pull the dick out of your mouth because you're an idiot? You sure you don't want... No.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Double down.
If you were standing against the police or the state or authority in general, he was going to be there, unquote. Now... the guy hated libertarians who stand against the government. And he was an authoritarian with Antifa. So he hated the people who stood up to the bullies.
Because he was a bully.
Yep.
Bullies don't like those that stand up against them.
And by the way, this is my impression of this guy. Okay? He was a stupid little skinny-ass dweeby geek.
Yep.
Who probably got bullied a lot, then went on to learn martial arts, and now got on a power high and just wanted to fight people.
Yeah, he's the nerd who became the bully.
Yeah, which is the worst kind of bully.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know better.
Yeah, they know better, and they get a particularly good endorphin rush.
Right. Now, we're going to go... later on, we're going to get into Keeler and his mom, and some insight into his upbringing, but here's a little preview. Ready for this? McKelvey said this love of protest earned Keeler the nickname 13, the age he was when he showed up at Pioneer Courthouse Square ready to rally against economic inequality during the Occupy Portland protests in 2011.
Yeah, you can thank his mother for getting him killed.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Quote, he was known as the little kid that was camping at Occupy, unquote, McKelvey said. Court records show that Keeler served 15 days in jail for interfering with a police officer in 2015, but no other arrests. A far-right journalist posted 2 videos after Keeler's death that he claimed showed Keeler behaving aggressively. That he claimed? It was a fucking video. Did you watch it?
No.
That claimed that Keeler behaving aggressively while protesting a pro-Trump student meeting at Portland State University and berating a cameraman.
He wasn't a fucking student.
Yeah, he wasn't a student and he was threatening students. And folks, we showed you that from one angle. There's Mike Bivens was there and Mike Strickland was there. We'll show you the other angle a little bit later. But there's just no doubt about it. He's there threatening the guy. It's just, okay, this is why people say you're fake news, because you're fucking liars. There's no possible way that you didn't watch that video and see what everybody else sees. Okay? Public broadcasting. Why do you get money? Why should you get any money? Fuck you. You shouldn't exist. You shouldn't exist, at least not as such. Anyway, moving on, they say... McKelvey said that he knew Keeler, who described himself as an anarchist, to be, quote, more into the research aspect of anti-fascism than street brawls, unquote. Okay, well, he was certainly into street brawls.
Yeah. It's like, usually when you say something, you're supposed to live up to that.
Yep. He also provided context for the second video, which he said showed a visibly upset Keeler furious at the cameraman, who posted out-of-context footage, quote, made to incite hatred of the left, unquote, which have resulted in friends getting charged with felonies. So no, that was the clip that we saw earlier where he was saying, hey, my friend did something bad and you let people know, so I'm going to smash your camera. Quote, he wanted and always was trying to protect his friends from violence or from arrest, unquote. Protect, yeah, through threats. That's mafia tactics, McKelvey said. Quote, for him to be upset about that in 2016 one time, to be really upset about it, I think is okay, unquote. And you also think it's okay that Antifa destroyed downtown in 2016, and you think it's okay to collect money to give to the businesses to rebuild, and then to keep almost all of that, and then to leave for Georgia.
Yeah, let's put it this way. No one gives a flying fuck what you think.
Right, and folks, if you, like I say, I like to prove everything I say, so you have to go to this webpage right here. I'll give you a link below. It shows you in exhaustive detail what a scumbag fucking liar this McKelvey is, and his wife, and Louis Marquez, his friend, and his other friend Micah Rhodes. And by the way, Micah Rhodes and Gregory Robert McKelvey are sex offenders who kidnapped, assaulted, and had sex with underage people.
Yep.
while they were adults. Gregory Robert McKelvey, like Louis Marquez, act like they have some sort of moral high ground over people like Joey Gibson. Either we saw already or we will see Joey Gibson expressing remorse over the death of Sean Keeler. Meanwhile, people like Louis Marquez are celebrating the death many times of a fellow patriot, Leo Stratton. Gregory Robert McKelvey says scummy things all the time, and he pretends to be some sort of progressive social justice warrior. If you just pay attention to what he puts out there, you'll see he doesn't really try to hide the fact that he's a scumbag. He's used to people not looking into him if they agree with his politics. Anyway, let's move on. Teresa Rayford, if I'm saying that correctly, the founder of local activist group Don't Shoot Portland, who, by the way, apparently was the ones who set up the memorial, and 2020 mayoral candidate, said she'd known Keeler since he showed up looking to help organize after the 2014 shooting of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. By the way, was she one of the people that was on one of the newscasts? Let's have a look.
We're really upset and sad about it, and we're looking for answers.
Yeah, that was her. Rayford said that even as a teenager, Keeler was well-versed in organizing tactics and helped members learn what to expect when protesting against groups that included white supremacists. You know, like the Samoan guy and the half-Asian guy. Yeah, right. Quote, he introduced to us what the dynamics look like, unquote. Rayford said, I guess, quote, I didn't know there were fascist groups that would attack us. Well, there's not. I mean, you live in goddamn Portland. What are you worried about?
Yeah, what kind of fascists can you find? Oh, yeah, none, you idiots.
Right. I didn't know there were people who would respond violently, unquote. Well,
you're violent.
Yeah. And by the way, this is someone who was running for mayor, who was friends with a fucking dead terrorist.
Yeah.
Okay, this is insane. Yep. How many fucking Democrats are we going to see that either pay or otherwise support Antifa or join Antifa, if that was really Ilhan Omar? By the way, we got to get back to doing the second video about that eventually, as soon as I can. But I'm losing my voice, so let's move on here. The article then goes on with more ass-kissing from this woman for a dead terrorist. Not glad that he's dead, but he was a fucking terrorist. Okay? Don't we have fucking laws against people running for office when they are supporting terrorism?
Yeah.
Okay?
But over there in the Commie Coast,
they get away with it.
Those laws are less and less upheld.
Yeah. All right. This has gone on long enough. Who the hell do I think I am anyway? Lo, for I am vexed, and I doth lament upon it so. Whence came the wane tide wrought where withered oak of old did grow? And when cometh the end of this video? For it is time to go.
What the hell did you just say?
The hell did I just say?
I have no idea.
I think I'm getting tired. It's time to end this, and yeah. But folks, the most interesting stuff is yet to come, so be sure that you see part 3. I'll get it out as soon as I can. Please consider donating to us through Subscribestar. See the partial link below. I can't give you the whole link because YouTube just won't let me. Because, you know what? Subscribestar, unlike Patreon and other people, they refuse to financially unperson people for wrong things. So, YouTube doesn't want you to go there. So you're going to have to take that part of the link that I give you and paste it in your address bar right after the https://www. Also, subscribe to us on BitChute. This may be the last video on YouTube. You never know. BitChute, unlike YouTube, won't censor us and won't shut us down. Make sure you click the little bell icon. Thank you very much, everyone. Liberty, strength, honor, honesty, integrity, justice, truth, love, and laughter.
You're gay.